Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, tragedy in Minnesota. A shooter hell-bent on hate murders 2 children, injures 17 others in a targeted attack on a Catholic school. In moments, the latest on crime, the victims, and the twisted mind of the alleged gunman. Plus, the road to sanity. Since winning the 2024 election, President Trump has raised over $1.5 billion, proving he remains the GOP's financial powerhouse. Why supporters say this unprecedented war chest will secure American victories for years to come. And is there a nuclear deal in the works? President Trump and Putin met in Alaska, with discussions sparking hopes for a new arms control agreement, and even China could be involved. Why supporters say Trump's tough, no-nonsense leadership could secure American safety while keeping the world's most dangerous weapons in check. Those stories and more as the second hour of American Sunrise starts right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
And welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from D.C. Let's check in with Dr. G in West Palm and T. Bates in Denver. Good morning. It's a somber morning, guys, as we talk about this tragedy in Minneapolis. You know, I was looking at the Washington Post this morning. I didn't see anything. There was no mention at all in a 55-paragraph article about this gunman being transgender. Nothing. The only thing they did in paragraph 35, they mentioned that there were court records saying that about the name change. That was it. There were 12 paragraphs on how guns are horrible and something needs to be done. And Gina, this pretty much says it all. We kind of knew what the media would do here. And praise God, there are outlets like Real America's Voice that are going to give people the full story and the full truth.
Mass shooter in Colorado Springs was trans, Denver shooter trans, Aberdeen shooter trans, Nashville shooter trans, Philly shooter trans, Iowa shooter trans. The list goes on. It's time to address this. I don't know if it is the chicken or egg situation, David. I don't know if it's that people who have this problem identifying their own gender or get confused or get some sort of dysmorphic ideas in their mind, if it's that indicates that they might have a propensity, or if it's the hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on drugs, all kinds of chemicals. I'll tell you this, this is going to be way TMI, but take any woman with hormonal issues. You've seen it. Now imagine taking thousands of hormones and injecting them into a child, David. I'll tell you something, Terrence, I saw like about 3 days ago, I was just, doing my kids call it doom scrolling on social media, which I have a tendency to do sometimes. And I was watching, and there was this meme that popped up, and it said, it was this dad, and it was this little boy, and he was sitting across, and he put $10,000 on the table, and then he put 2 Oreo cookies. And he said, which one do you want? To his child. His child's going to pick the Oreo cookies. That same child can go to a school counselor and say, I think I want to be a girl today. The same child that picked Oreo cookies. And the dad even tried to talk him out of it. He's like, no, $10,000. I'm going to explain to you, son. You don't want to pick the Oreo cookies. But I mean, we are talking about children. Believing children is not the same thing as trusting their ability to make coherent decisions that will affect the rest of their lives. And so when you have all this drug money behind it, you have an entire political organization, AKA the Democrats, behind pushing transgenderism and transitioning. It gets really convoluted, Terrence, to say trust children, because we're not really talking about trusting children. We're talking about trusting a young mind that is very vulnerable, and then adding a bunch of hormones and chemicals. That can make anyone crazy, T.
Yeah, and it brings us to our big story of the day, the country continuing to mourn the deadly shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis. An 8-year-old and 10-year-old are dead, 14 other kids, along with 3 senior citizens, hurt. Minneapolis police chief says the injured are expected to survive. That's the good news. But late Wednesday, hundreds crowded into a nearby church for a vigil. Hundreds more mourned outside while the region's archbishop tried to comfort them. Meantime, the shock of this heinous attack are now shifting to anger.
These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance. These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have, every step of the day, regardless of where they are in our country.
To that end, President Trump says he's been fully briefed on the shooting and will continue to monitor the situation. He also has ordered the U.S. flag to be flown at half-staff across the country for the rest of the month. It's happening here at the White House, as you can see. 47 continues to cement himself as the law and order president as well, with Wednesday's attack coming as he and Republican leaders on Capitol Hill craft a comprehensive crime bill. As for this latest shooting that has the entire country shaking its collective head, we now know the cowardly 23-year-old transgender shooter fired dozens of deadly shots from outside the church through the windows during morning mass. American-born Pope Leo XIV sending his condolences this morning, saying that he is praying for the relatives of the dead. While the Trump administration has one eye on Minneapolis, the other is shifting to Wisconsin today. Vice President J.D. Vance will be in the Cheese State today to promote President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. The two leaders met at the White House for lunch on Wednesday, in preparation for the vice president's trip today. Vance will speak about the law's benefits for manufacturing at a steel producing company there in Wisconsin. The administration traveling the country touting the benefits of the spending plan in advance of the midterms. The sales pitch includes highlighting the middle-class tax relief the measure is bringing to American families. President Trump calls it the biggest tax cut in U.S. history. That's a quick check of your headlines. Now, let's get a quick national forecast from our friends over at Weather Nation.
Thanks, Terrence. We're tracking a couple of cold fronts as we head into this last unofficial weekend of summer. A lot of 70s and 80s on the board today. New York City 75, Chicago 75, Dallas still in the 90s, however, along with Houston. But we are tracking a cold front digging through the southern plains that will help to drop some of those temperatures. Areas like Little Rock and Wichita already down 15 to 20 degrees compared to average. Some severe storms are going to be possible out towards Colorado, the Red River Valley of Texas into Oklahoma today. Those threats will stick around the Front Range tomorrow, while they also drop towards the Gulf Coast, where we could be seeing some heavy rainfall and severe storms as we follow these two frontal systems getting closer to Thursday evening and Friday morning. It's still going to be watching some heavy showers out there across the Northeast and down towards the southern Gulf. But by the time we get to Saturday, the cooler reinforcing air arrives in areas like New York, Chicago, even Dallas, down to 85 degrees. And one last thing to watch as we head into this long Labor Day weekend, we have a new area in the Atlantic to monitor. Back to you.
All right, thank you, sir. For more on the tragic and heinous shooting in Minneapolis, let's bring in Steve Gruber. He, of course, is the host of America's Voice Live here on Real America's Voice. Steve, your big takeaways on all of this. There's so many different avenues we could go down, so I'll just give you an open-ended toss. So, your big takeaways here.
All right, there's a lot of big takeaways here. First of all, we've got to stop ignoring mental illness in America. The idea that somehow we should be embracing the trans community and not embracing the Catholic community. I'm not Catholic. I'm embracing the Catholic community today because that's what they deserve. They've been the target of this kind of hatred, this kind of serial violence for a long time now. Enough. It's time to stand with our Catholic friends and neighbors and say enough. Let's talk about that for a moment. The other thing I was just reading, and you guys would be appalled by what I was reading on social media, on places like Reddit. Well, a couple of religious zealots taken out beforehand. Wow. If you are a person that votes for Trump and your children get taken out, it's what you deserve. I mean, seriously, the people that are writing these things on Reddit and elsewhere are so repugnant. They would actually think that it's okay to murder children because they won't grow up and be conservatives or Republicans or Trump people in the future. That is how repugnant some of these comments are. And you have to ask yourself, how dark, how black is your heart? How void is your soul if you write things like that for the world to see and celebrate the idea that these children were murdered? And how terrible is it? The people like Jacob Fry there, we don't need to be talking about hope and prayer and this and that because these children were literally praying. Oh, so we shouldn't pray for the Catholic families that have lost here, others circling their wagons around the transgenderism. Look, I'm inclusive of everybody, friendly to everybody. But when there's a mental issue, as this has been previously designated by the DSM 3-4 and not 5, but 2-3-4, when you have gender dysphoria, which has previously been identified as a mental illness, let's return to that. Let's talk about that. This disconnect. And the thing that Gina was saying, not lost on me. You've got all of these raging hormones and mental issues and depression and loneliness and all of these things. And then you target a Catholic church with the sayings, kill President Trump. Who is your God? Good morning. And all of these, I mean, we saw the videos with all these things written all over the magazines, the sides of the guns, a smiley face on the front of the pistol, all of those things. There's a lot to unpack here, but we need to focus on, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. making an announcement here just moments ago, that these SSRIs, these antidepressants, these dopamine limiters are being investigated now, as they should be. When you give children powerful psychotropic drugs, you have to consider the impact. You have to. Mm-hmm. So many things to consider here, but enough is enough. I'm going to go back to this. We have enough money in this country, apparently, especially in states like Minnesota, to spend millions, if not billions of dollars on illegal aliens. Here's an idea. Let's make sure we have a special resource officer in every single school in America, public and private, more than one if possible. Let's make sure that we have our children protected. There are retired police officers, retired members of the military, people that will step up and do the job to protect our children at every school in America. Will it be perfect? No, but it's a good step forward, and it's a hell of a lot better than sitting here and doing nothing at all.
Well, I can't disagree with you on that, Steve. There's no doubt about that. Ever since Columbine, it's happened before Columbine, but ever since Columbine in 1999, we keep, not we, but just collectively, we as a society keep talking about, you know, we got to stop this. We got to figure out mental illness. And nothing changes. Nothing changes. And you wonder why that is. And the only thing I can come back to, and it's not a solution, it's just a reality, which is that we live in a fallen world. There are sick people out there, and this type of stuff's going to happen. But it's happening more in the last 30 years than it ever did in our country. And there's a schism. There's a difference between what's happening now compared to back in the day.
Absolutely true. Look, when I went to high school, we often had guns in the cars with us. We did. We were in a hunting state of Michigan, and during deer season or bird season or whatever, you'd have a shotgun in the vehicle. It's no big deal. You didn't take it into school, and you didn't walk down the hall pulling the trigger. That's the difference. There's a different mentality today, for sure. Guns were around. Guns were prevalent. Guns were respected. There's a lack of respect in this country. We see it for a lack of respect for police officers, a lack of respect for authority. I mean, you see these outbursts in classrooms.
Lack of respect
There's a
for
lack
life,
of decorum,
Steve.
Right? Too often. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but as you're saying that, I'm thinking there's a lack of respect for life. There's a lack of respect for the sanctity of life, in the womb or outside. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're exactly right, Terrence. You bring up a great point. When you talk about euthanasia, you know, leaving life at a casual time when you decide, you know, in Canada, if you're depressed now, you can get on a list and take your own life. Oregon, not too far behind. Washington, not too far behind. From abortion to euthanasia for elderly people to, you know, the slaughter in our streets to the murder of children and people saying, well, that's good. We won't have those conservatives around in the future. I mean, good God. What is wrong with a human being to even utter such a thing, to think such a thing? The depravity of that is appalling. You're exactly right, Terrence. There is a lessening of the value of life, and I don't know where it comes from. I think it's a separation from God in many ways. It's a separation from God in the schools and on the public square, and people think they can be their own God. Look, I believe that to be true. We need more God in America. And something else, Terrence, you touched on here, we need more fathers in America.
Great
because I'm going
point.
to tell you something. I don't know this kid's story yet, but I'm gonna hedge a guess right here. There was no father figure in this kid's life, because if you go look at school shooters as a general rule, most of them, not every single one, but 90% plus, had no strong father figure in their life. The father figure was either absent or very disconnected. I'm going to hazard a guess that that'll be true in this case as well. We need more dads in America to step up, be responsible, run your family, get your act together, and raise your children properly and teach them respect for life and everything else.
Absolutely. And we have a culture that celebrates abortion, right? I mean, we have, it's not just Planned Parenthood, it's the media. I mean, just go on and on. Steve, thank you so very much. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Steve.
Steve.
Thank you.
And sorry for butting in and interrupting you, my friend. I'm sorry.
I appreciate you, Terrence.
No, it's great
Likewise,
stuff.
brother.
All right. Coming up, a major shakeup at Union Station. The Trump administration takes control of D.C.'s iconic transit hub, what it means for commuters, and how it could change the heart of the nation's capital. We have that story when we come back.